Hi everyone and welcome to Wargame South Africa, I guess. This is the new DLC nation. I'm going to build a deck. It's been a little while since I built a deck. I'm going to build one for 10v10s. And then I might put up a video building one for 4v4s. I'm going to stick with a generic deck for the first. And then I'll maybe think about another deck that's maybe mechanized, motorized, tank based, whatever. We'll have a think. So first, logistics. Let's have a look at all the South Africa units while we're here. Logistics aren't going to be anything particularly special, but it's always worth having a quick look through. We've got a helicopter, obviously fast response if you're wanting to take points. In a 10v10, not generally something I'd be rushing to do, especially as South Africa necessarily, because they're not helicopter heavy. You're going to want a lot of helicopter support for something like that if you're pushing right to the front line. I'm going to take an infantry commander because I always do. They're very good for getting into towns and things. Now, what to take is debatable here. You kind of want something fast. I don't really want to take a chopper, though they're not that expensive compared to what I'm thinking about taking, to be fair. The cheapest chopper is 20. The Ratel 20 Milan is 20 as well. I'm leaning towards the standard Ratel 20. Just because of its speed more than anything else. It's got that extra speed across open ground, an extra 15 kilometers per hour over the Caspia. So we'll stick that in for now. Then in terms of other vehicles as command units, we have the Elephant, which is fine. It's not a heavily armoured tank. It's got a bit of armour, but it's quite expensive for what it is, I think. 130 for such little armor. Is it worth it? It's not very fast. It's pretty damn slow actually across ground. And you've got a Ratel, which is a lot faster but lacks armor. And then it's down to little vehicles with very little armor. And that's nothing special. That's 5 points more for an extra armor on the front. I'm not sure. Do you just take the tank and accept that it's not got the best armor? Let's stick it in for now. I feel like I'm going to delete that tank though. Take a fob, obviously. Now, in terms of rearming, you've got two trucks there. You've got the little truck, which speed's pretty poor across ground. Road speed's fine, obviously. 500 litre supply. It's alright, not special. But the SAML 100 cargo, this is the one. 40 points. Speed 100 over ground. Road speed 150. Supplied to 400. So it's like the Hemet for the US. Except its size is medium rather than large, so it has that advantage. And then, do I take the chopper? We'll stick it in there. I'm not sure. I've not played in South Africa, but what is going through my head is their units are all very fast moving. A lot of them are very lightly armored. I'm debating whether I'm going to need a supply chopper or if those units are going to be dead before the supply chopper gets there. But we'll go with that for now. Now, the infantry, there's some very nice infantry, there's some very cheap nice infantry, and there's some infantry that look ridiculous. So I'm going to skip straight down and let's have a look at the inflict. So, I think Razman did a meme video with these guys in. I mean, let's just look at the stats. It doesn't matter what vehicle we're thinking about at the minute. They've got a rifle. It's a Vector. It's fine. 400 rounds, rate of fire 120 per minute. Nothing special there. Decent accuracy. But what is sticking out to me is obviously the 107mm rounds on what is a rocket launcher supposedly. It's an anti-infantry rocket launcher. It has a range of 1,925 meters, accuracy of 30, and fires 7 rounds a minute. That has proven to be devastating in videos I've seen. So they're definitely going in the deck. Because if you stick them in a building, no other infantry are getting near that building. They're just not. As long as you keep it supplied. Now that's the time I'm thinking, is the chopper going to come in handy if you're wanting to rearm these guys in a town? If there's no other way in. I mean, the accuracy is only 30, but if we get them hardened and get a little bonus on that, that's great. So what else we got? Anyway, let's have a look. So I'm keeping those guys in. I didn't even pick the right vehicle. Hang on. So basic vehicle. We want something fast because we want them to get to the front really fast. Do we send them in a chopper? That is tempting. Because if they get up there, the only thing that's going to get close to them is vehicles. The problem is, if you go that route, you're going to need something that's anti-vehicle that's going to move fast as well. Only 5 points more for a chopper and that speed. I'm really torn on that. Let's go for the Puma for now. I might change my mind because I need to think about anti-tank that can go with them. Let's have a quick look at their other units. So they have another similar heat rocket launcher. It does have some AP power. I think we've seen quite a few teams with these, 1,400 meter range, similar accuracy. I think we've seen a lot of these. Though the HE power is only 2 instead of 4, so the inflict are much better. Everything else pretty standard. Slightly faster rate of fire on their AK. Fine. Still this strength 5. That's the same as the inflict. I'm not taking those. They have a use. I think the variant for the finish in that deck for a little while, but it wasn't doing it for me. Then you got the Buck-Up and the Buck-Up 90s. So RPG 7s, Brenel 4. It's a decent machine gun. Not the best accuracy, but decent. A little bit of a stabilizer on the Vector R1. They're pretty good. So look at the Buck-Up, the Buck-Up 90s even, sorry, which are 5 points more. Oh, look at that launcher, the FT5. The FN Mag, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Better stabilizer, the Vector R4. Is the accuracy less there? Yes, it is. It's 30 rather than 40. Hang on. Pin. Side by side. Rate of fire's dropped on the Buck-Up 90s. Better stabilizer, so they're going to shoot on the move better. But look at that launcher. That launcher's obscene. For 15-point infantry. I mean, I know it's short range. I need to have a look at some of the other sides, because I'm trying to decide if any of the other nations have such a high AP power for such a cheap infantry unit. I honestly can't remember, but I don't know every unit in the game off by heart, so we're going to take some Buck-Up 90s. I think that goes without saying. I'm not going to take them in a chopper, because although I want something in a chopper to back these guys up with anti-tank, this is only 700 meter range. We need something with longer range than that. But I'm thinking something that's fast moving. What's that? Ratel 60. Is that mortars? I think that's a mortar round. HE power 2 suppression. AoE. Smoke capable. So it's like a cannon and a mortar, I think. That's pretty nice. Cheap mortar, as well as some decent infantry. That's tempting. Got some Rattle 90s. And the Rattle 90s are good. I'm allowed 3 of those. Hang on. Rattle 90s are just switching to tank. No, Zarui Cat 105's there. Wait, are the Rattle 90s not anywhere else? There's a Rattle 90 there in vehicle. Oh, that's interesting. AP power's 8, hitchy, so they're going to destroy small vehicles pretty easily. That's got an AP power 4. And that's slightly cheaper. It's very fast. Oh, I'm torn now. I'm very torn. I feel like that would be very useful against taking out incoming light vehicles. 40% accuracy, bring him in hardened. Not really bothered about the Milans. Decent AP power, decent accuracy. Rattle 20s. I mean, they're going to be great against infantry and, again, potentially light vehicles close range. But I'm actually sort of umming and ahhing between these two. Because I'm really tempted by the fact that's got a cheap mortar. Right, let's go for Rattle 90s for these guys. Bring in hardened. And then we can have a think about something else that's going to come in with the Rattle 60, because there must be something else that comes in with them. So then we have the Buffaloes, and we'll pin them and just have a look at the Buffaloes and the Buffaloes 85. So, now the 85s have Milans. So this could be our unit to come in a chopper. They're expensive units though. Shock troops. Nice machine gun. Though the original Buffaloes get a better machine gun to some extent. The 85s, on paper at least, look worse in terms of their machine gun. But their launcher is a lot better. I'll take the 85s in a Puma. That's an expensive unit set. But if you want to get up close and personal to the front lines quickly, that could be it. But this is the thing where you're deciding, are you taking a rapid reaction force or are you not? That's a difficult decision. I'll leave it at that for now. I mean, this is for 10v10. We're looking for expensive units to some degree. Let's go with that for now. What are these guys? The Burger Mags. What is that? It's like a really, really cheap militia. Okay. I was going to say it's a really, really cheap anti-tank unit, but they're only militia. Cheap and cheap. I wish they had an option for coming in some 5-point vehicle. I don't really want to spend 10 points on a vehicle to bring them in. And they don't have any nice vehicles. I mean, the 20mm cannon's not bad, but that's not doing it for me. The Inflict we've already got. I jumped straight to them because That looks ridiculous. The Mechanef? And the Mechanef 90 is fine, so we'll pin that. Choose the 90s as well. Let's have a look. Oh, they have the FT5 as well. Is that the same as a... Yeah. Okay. So they also have that launcher. But the Bocop 90s are cheaper. We'll have a look at those two in a minute. We'll pin them together and just see which is better. So, these are quite a good unit as well. Shock troops, 10 squad. Good rate of fire. Similar machine guns, though not the same one. The launches on both of them are pretty good. It's just that FT5 extra AP power, which is slightly ridiculous. These ones cost so much more. 5 points more for the standard. The 90s, a lot more. Type armored. Interesting that they're considered armored. Let's just select, let's pin those guys and then have a look at the Bocop 90s there. So what's the big difference between these? 10-point difference. Better accuracy, better stabilizer. Shock troops instead of regular. Same launcher. Machine gun with stabilizer. And better accuracy. I'm going to switch to... what else can they come in? They can come in the Rattle 90s. You know what, let's... They're shock troops. Let's bring them in the Rattle 90s as veterans. And let's bring in the Bocop 90s at the minute, but I'm probably going to change them for something else. But let's bring them in the Rattle 60 so we have those mortars. We have the Buffaloes with the Milans. I'm just thinking in my head what we need. So we need anti-tank and anti-air. But technically the Buffaloes have anti-tank. And do they get anything other than the Milans? No, Milan F1s. So there's no particular advantage other than the fact that it's cheaper to bring these guys in with the Milans. Parabat. And Parabat 90s. Fine, let's pin that and have a look at them both. So again, we've got shock troops costing 25, strength 10. Again, they've got that FT5 launcher. Quite a nice machine gun there, Mini SS. It's got very good accuracy. 40 and 20 on the stabilizer. Main gun is pretty good as well. Limited choice of what you can bring them in. The vehicles aren't great there. Let me just pin these guys and just compare them to the other 25-point unit. The machine gun's better. So, here's the situation. Same rifle, same launcher, different machine gun. The Mini SS range isn't as good, but it's got better accuracy and a better stabilizer and a higher rate of fire. But its suppression's less. And vehicle options aren't great. I think it's going to be testing some of these infantry in action and then making decisions later. Let's move on. We'll stick with the ones we've got up there. sappers. The Life Boy. Now, I'm sure Grigory told me that this is actually a flamethrower from World War II. I mean, it's, you know, it's a flamethrower. They're not special. They're just as they are. Reasonably cheap. Standard range. Rate of fire is pretty good, 53 rounds a minute. How often do I use them in 10v10s? On occasion. Let's move on. We can come back to that. The SASF. Vector. LRAC. Ooh. So they come with a bit of everything. Let's pin them and compare them to the 90s. I mean, I think it goes without saying that the 90s are better. Oh, they have the A-Pilas. Very nice. Elite troops. No, they're very good units. Good accuracy and stabilization of the vector. But it's a vector R5 then, that's always that. A-Pilas does 20 rounds a minute. Wow. Anti-air's pretty good as well. Okay, fine. So let's have a look at the Stinger Uniter. What do those guys have? They had the FIM 92A, so they've got the same Stinger. Fine. Let's pin that. Let's compare it to our Estrella 2s, which are cheap. And then what about the Estrella 3s? Because they're the ones we would usually go for, I suppose. The most expensive one. I mean, the Stinger's just better, isn't it? Better accuracy, better damage. Only 5 points more. Regular troops, strength 2, so they're just coming to squad at 2. What do these special forces guys come with? Because if they're coming with... They come with the Stinger and a very good A-Pilas. They're expensive though. But they're elite. They're going to be devastating in most situations. They're good units. And they come as veterans or elites. I mean, they don't come in anything special that you can... Again, are you going rapid reaction force with the choppers? Why do you bring them in a car? I mean, these guys should come in a chopper, shouldn't they? Because you're going to want them in frontline situations because they can take out vehicles and aircraft. But they're also expensive units to have on the front line. But equally, getting these guys behind someone else's base is pretty good. Let's go with the Puma for now. Let's go Elite 7. I'm going to regret that. I have a weird mixture of units there. That is really weird. Anti-personnel, anti-tank, but anti-everything. It's not just anti-tank. But is it... It's kind of... I'm torn because it's kind of worth having something that good, but it is a lot more expensive. I mean, that's going to be 55 to bring in, as opposed to what would be 30. It's heading towards double the price. but is it worth it for the extra firepower? We'll see. I'm going to try them. I'm going to try the units I've got here. I feel like I'm going overboard with these two. But they'll be good on maps where there's going to be a lot of infantry combat because they're not too expensive. And they have some nice vehicle options. Fine, let's move on to support. Otherwise we'll be on infantry all day because there's a lot of infantry. So, anti-air, Cactus, Cactus SAHV, and the Recon. So, the Cactus, very good against helicopters, decent range against airplanes, very good accuracy, reasonably cheap, not badly priced, pretty fast across ground. The Cactus, slightly better range against helicopters, you should pin it. Slightly better accuracy, 15 points more. Reload time 30 seconds. I'm not convinced that's worth 15 points more. And then the Recon is your radar. Same range against choppers, much better range against planes, accuracy 65. Cost 85 for radar. You know, I kind of feel like... I mean, the range is nice, but is that additional little bit of range worth 15 points? And also a reduced amount you can bring in? Probably not. Let's go with the Cactus. Then we've got the Eland 60, the Rattle 81, and the Rattle 120. So these are our other mortars. So I've already got some mortars with those infantry. Do I really want more? Kind of wondering if it's worth just sticking the 120s in there. Could take the 81s, but if you've already got 60s with those other vehicles, they are shorter range though. No rapid fire here, is there? 18 rounds a minute, 22 rounds a minute. Let's stick the big ones in. Dispersion is the same on both. Yeah, let's go for that. Let's go for 4 of those. We've got rocket launchers. So HE, very high HE. Or reasonably high HE. Decent range. And that one is cluster. Cluster's never a bad thing. Unsure. I have mixed feelings about rockets. And then we have the Sexton, which is an 85mm round. What is that? Howitzer. I want to turn it around and look at the front. That is a funny, very old looking unit. Not the best range. Big dispersion. HE4. Not really doing it for me. And then the Rhino, which is very expensive. Good dispersion. Same as the mortars. Very long range. Good HE power. No AP power. 4 rounds a minute. 1 veteran. Oof. 2 trained. I mean, it's substantially better than that. Fine, let's do that. And then we've got some of your anti-air cannon units. What is that little thing? That is hideous. And the guy in the back of it looks slightly deformed. Poor fella. So, I mean, the ranges aren't bad and it's pretty cheap. It's going to be good against choppers. And annoying for ground units. HE power 1. Suppression's not very good at all, really, as suppression. Guess they're not explosive shells. We've got the Bosvark, which has a minigun, the ZU. I'm no stranger to that weapon. 15% accuracy. At least the accuracy on that one's a bit better. And then a Ruacat ZA with an M35 radar. Good accuracy, better suppression, HE. It's actually got a decent range against aeroplanes as well. That's not bad. It's not really good against aircraft, but it's not bad. You have to remember to turn it off to protect it, though. I'm always dubious about radar guns. Some of them are very good. I'm tempted by that one, just for its little gun. That has decent armor, though. Very high speed across ground, because it's a Ruacat. Screw it, let's go with that. Let's go with the Ruacat. And then, do I take the radar missiles as well? It's that extra cost that's putting me off. Let's stick them in for now. I'm probably going to change my mind. I don't know what their launcher units are like. I might have to just test them out and revisit. Tanks. So, everyone likes tanks, right? The best tank is the Wargame. Range 2275. Good accuracy, good stabilizer, decent AP power, decent front armor. It's the best one to get. Sticking 2 hardened one to that. Do I go for 2 hardened or 4 trained, actually? I'm not going to bring in that many of them at 10v10, so let's go for 2. And then we have the silly units, which are cheap, but very, very effective when charging at ridiculous speeds because of high accuracy and high stabilizer. I mean, 12 hardened. You have to. How can you not? Hit and run tactics, swing them around behind the enemy, go into their base, kill everything. How could you not want to do that? I think that's one of the things, even in 10v10s or any game, people are going to have to be aware they need to defend their base, because South African sort of units and everything about the nation kind of says quick guerrilla tactics, running around the back of the enemy, taking out units and pulling back because of this ridiculous speed across ground. I mean, 120 kilometers across ground is crazy. And then the Ruacat 76mm, which again has ridiculous accuracy and stabilizer, hardened. And then do you take some elephants? Why not? They have very similar cannons. Difference is the armor. Then the cannons sort of get worse and worse. I probably wouldn't go for the Mark 1 because its range is pretty short. Is that worth 10 more for the... I don't think that's worth 10 more for the extra range, though. Slightly better AP power. Armor's the same. Speed's the same. And what about these two? Let's pin the 80 and look at the 60. So, they don't have any secondary weapons. They don't even have a machine gun. That's weird. You'd think they'd have a machine gun. So they're very similar, but the front armor is a lot better on the 80. That means we don't have a decent armored cheap tank though. Unless I take 2, which means spending a lot of points here. I mean, the accuracy is pretty good. Okay. Harden to those. Harden to those. Move on. The reason I'm taking those is because that's a cheaper tank, but it's got armor. So it can be a defensive unit in a tree line and things like that. Whereas the Ruicats can't really do that because of the lack of front armor. And then I'm taking that one because it's the best armor we have without spending 155. Tank options are limited, basically. Okay. Recon. That's weird that it's hidden all the way down there. There are 2 choppers. Let's pin that. So, Varouette, which we've seen before. And then this thing, which is a prototype. Very small, only good optics. It has a gun though. Slightly cheaper. I'm put off by the fact it's only got good optics. I think you're better off going with the Alouette. Yep, let's do that. Let's take 7 trained. That's a lot. Then we've got Elands. Some cheap ones. I mean, that's going to scare off vehicles. And that's got some impressive speed to boot. The Ruicat again. I'm taking the Ruicat again. Because why wouldn't you? I mean, you could take trained ones even. I'm going to regret taking all these Ruicats into a 10v10. I think they'd be fantastic in a 1v1. I think they'd be fantastic potentially in 4v4. So I feel like in a 10v10 I'm going to regret it. But I'm going to try. Pathfinders with a frag launcher. We do like a frag launcher. Bring them in a cheap vehicle. Out of the 2 of them, they're the same price. At least that one has a gun on it. It's better top and it has top armor. Let's go with those guys. We'll just go for hardened. We don't need anything special for them. Then we've got some nice snipers with AP power. So these guys are like the Canadian ones with some AP power on the anti-material rifle. So we're definitely taking those guys. And we're going to take them in a chopper. Medium poor optics. Medium poor optics. I'm going to take them in the Oryx for the speed. I'm going to take them elite. And they're going to be our squad that we get round behind the enemy. Simple as that. And then the last thing we could potentially take is trackers, but I'm running low on points here, and I've still got 3 tabs to go. So I'm opting to take the Pathfinders in this 10v10 deck over the trackers. And I'm just going to move on. Right, vehicles. Ferrets. Ferrets. What is that? A Ratel with a Swift Saclos missile. What is a Swift? ZT-3A1 Swift. Is that available to anyone else? I don't remember that. This might be a South Africa specific. Accuracy 70. That gets a Milan F1. Everything's a Milan F1 for these guys. I think I'm going to try that. Hardened, just to increase the accuracy, because it's got a good range. Decent AP power. It'd be good versus tanks. And it's fast, so what we've got here is, you know, heat guns. 106. So they're better in terms of AP power, but they're not as mobile, and the range isn't as good. Accuracy isn't as good. Yeah, it's still not bad, is it? Considering. Loses speed. I'm just going to pin both of those. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to take either of these, to be honest, but... And that only gets 10 rounds. And fires 7 a minute, so you're going to have to support them. Whereas at least the Ratel gets 58 rounds. Better range, better accuracy. A lot less AP power, so you're going to be wanting to run those around the side or back of enemy units if you can. I'm going to skip it for now. I'm going to stick with those guys for the launcher. And move on to the helicopters. So we've got the Alouette K car, which is just a little gun. Has a bit of AP power, so if you're supposed to be swarmed enemy units, you'd not do too badly. And we've got these guys, which have anti-helicopter weaponry. They're not cheap though. 70. Anti-ground cannon, rockets. I mean, it's a decent chopper in terms of its armament, at least. And then we've got the XTP-1 Beta. 90 points. Range 2800. Good accuracy. So that's one of our other options for anti-tank. And then the Ruivolk, which is our prototype, has everything. Anti-tank, anti-air, really good accuracy, not cheap. Nice cannon. That's going in. 2 hardened to those. And then I think if they've got the anti-air at much better accuracy, I think if we take these for 90, and again I'm going to take hardened and move on to aircraft. So, Buccaneers. S Mark 50s. So that's our ground bomber, well, missile ATGM plane. Not the best accuracy considering. Extremely good AP power. I mean, that would be devastating, but accuracy isn't doing it for me. Pretty slow. Then we've got our prototype Carver. 155 points. And I'm just trying to think, remind myself how much the equivalent would cost for the Americans. So we have a reasonably good fire and forget anti-plane missile with 70% accuracy and 70% stabilizer. Reasonable gun. Secondary missile's pretty accurate as well. ECM 50%. Yeah, so we're taking that. The Cheetah D. Now, that's 10 points less than the Buccaneer. It's faster. It has some ECM. Oh, it's a seed. I thought for a minute it was an ATGM, but it's anti-radar. Not the longest range on anti-radar, is it? I wonder if they have anything better. Let's keep looking. Rocket plane, rocket plane. I don't really take them. Just don't do it for me. And we've got our Mirage jets. Semi-active radar missiles, only 500-600. Pretty cheap though, but not for a 10v10. Mirage, pretty cheap. Definitely not for a 10v10. Cheetah, hello. So, reasonably good missile again, 70-70 stabilizers. Good range. So basically, very similar to the Carver. So it's just allowing us to bring in another set of planes, so we can have 4 with that range. We get some more Mirage. Okay. The AS-30. So this is another one that's anti-ground, but is that the same AS-30? Yes, it is. It's the same one. Cluster munitions. 6 cluster munitions even. That's quite nice. It's quite high speed as well. Not the best ECM. Normal HE bombs. And the D2. Oh, here we go. A fire and forget anti-ground missile. What the heck is that? A laser guided bomb. Oh. Only dealing damage to unarmored targets and to very few armored ones. Ah. A laser guided HE bomb. So I'm assuming not as effective as the Israeli or American equivalents, but laser guided. So if you want to take out a building, I'm going to add those just out of curiosity to see what they're capable of doing, and then we'll have a look at the last couple of planes. But I don't actually have any room left, so we got napalm, only 2 bombs, and that is 8 500 kilogram bombs. That's pretty good. No ECM though. But I'm out of points, so I'm not bringing any more. But mainly I tend to use my 10v10 decks for anti-air if I'm going to do that. So what else do I bring in? I filled all the others. I have 3 points to spend. Do I bring in some more Recon? Let's go for Parapathfinders. Could take some in the chopper, and then we've got some in the chopper for rapid response. Let's do that for now. We'll do that. That sounds good. Fine. So there's our deck. Let's click back. Fine. So there we go. There's our deck for the moment. I'm going to make changes. Without a doubt, I'm going to make changes. I have not tried these units yet. I've just seen very little video footage of Razman and people like that using them. So we'll see how it goes in a 10v10. And I expect to be making changes. Thanks very much for watching. I will be putting up any changes that I make to this in another video. And obviously I'm thinking about a 1v1 or 4v4 deck as well, and I'll also pop a video of that up. thanks very much for watching. Please do tune into my live streams where, hopefully, once my connection is installed later today, I will be doing that a lot more often and playing some South African decks in Wargame again. Have a great weekend.